She handed me a list titled, Things You Need to Change to Marry Me. I said, this is really helpful. Then I wrote my own list, with one item on it. Find a new girlfriend. I slid it back to her, and walked out of the restaurant. I'd been dating Jessica for 2 years when she suggested we grab dinner at this Italian place downtown. She said she wanted to talk about our future. I figured maybe she wanted to discuss moving in together or something. We'd been talking about taking the next step for a while. I showed up at the restaurant excited, thinking this was going to be a good conversation about where we were headed. Jessica was already there when I arrived, sitting at a corner table with this weird smile on her face. She had her notebook out, the fancy leather one she used for work meetings. That should have been my first clue something was off. We ordered our food and made small talk for a bit. Then she pulled out 3 pieces of paper, folded neatly, and slid them across the table to me. She said, I've been thinking a lot about us getting married, and I made a list of things we should work on first. I thought it was going to be like a couple's goals thing. You know, travel more together, save money for a house, stuff like that. I unfolded the papers and started reading. The title at the top said, Things You Need to Change to Marry Me. My stomach dropped. Number 1 was, stop playing video games entirely. They're childish and you spend too much time on them. For context, I played maybe 3 hours a week with my friends online. It was how we stayed connected. Number 2, get rid of your truck and buy a sedan. Trucks are impractical and waste gas. I loved my truck. I'd saved for 2 years to buy it. Number 3, cut off your college friends, especially Mark. They're bad influences and hold you back from being mature. Mark was my best friend since freshman year. He was in my wedding party, for crying out loud. I kept reading, and it just got worse. Number 7 said, stop watching sports. It's a waste of time and you get too emotional about games that don't matter. Number 12 said, quit your job at the construction company and find an office job. Manual labor isn't respectable enough. I'd worked construction since I was 19 and genuinely loved it. Number 15 said, stop visiting your parents every Sunday. We need that time for us, and your mom coddles you too much. The list went on for 3 full pages, 32 items total. Everything from the way I dressed, to the food I ate, to the hobbies I enjoyed. She wanted me to stop going to the gym because I spent too much time there. Stop reading sci-fi books because they were nerdy. Even sell my dog because she didn't like pet hair. I looked up at Jessica and she was smiling like she just handed me a gift. She said, I know it seems like a lot, but I really think these changes would make you a better person, a better husband. I asked her if she was serious. She nodded and said she'd been working on this list for 3 months, really thinking about what kind of man she wanted to marry. That's when it hit me. She didn't want to marry me. She wanted to marry some imaginary version of me that didn't exist. The waiter brought our food, but I'd completely lost my appetite. I sat there staring at this list, realizing that literally everything that made me who I was, she wanted gone. My hobbies, my friends, my family time, my job, my truck, even my dog. Jessica started eating her pasta like nothing was wrong. She asked if I had any questions about the list. I pulled out my phone and opened a note, typed 1 sentence, saved it, and showed her the screen. It said, Things you need to change to marry me. Number 1, find a new girlfriend. Her fork stopped halfway to her mouth. She stared at my phone, then at me, waiting for me to laugh or say I was kidding. I wasn't laughing. I said, if you need to change 32 things about me to want to marry me, then you don't actually want to marry me at all. She started backtracking immediately, said I was being dramatic, that she was just trying to help me grow, that all couples compromise. I told her compromise is meeting in the middle, not erasing someone's entire personality. I stood up, pulled out enough cash to cover both meals, and walked out, left her sitting there with her list and her pasta. My phone started blowing up before I even got to my truck. Texts saying I was being childish, that I couldn't handle constructive criticism, that she was only trying to make our relationship better. I blocked her number and drove to Mark's apartment, told him what happened, and he just shook his head. He said he'd been waiting for me to figure out she was controlling, but didn't want to say anything. Apparently all my friends had noticed it. 3 days later, Jessica showed up at my parents' house during Sunday dinner. My mom answered the door and Jessica tried to explain that I'd overreacted to her helpful suggestions. My dad, who usually stays out of my relationship drama, walked to the door and said, if you want to change everything about my son, then you never liked him in the first place. Jessica left and I never heard from her again. Best decision I ever made.